Well, hello, friends. Real quick before we kick off the episode, I have to let you know about something exciting. I am seriously considering having an upgraded version of this podcast where you get bonus episodes and exclusive content. But here's the deal, I'm trying to decide what that content and those episodes should be. I do have some ideas, and I was wondering if you could vote really quick and tell me what you think about what would entice you, what would be interesting to you to get as bonus episodes on this podcast. For example, deeper dives into topics. Maybe I'm answering questions that many of you ask about starting or growing a business. Maybe even overhearing coaching calls, something like this. It would be a paid, upgraded version of this podcast, not very expensive at all, probably just a handful of dollars a month, but it be extra content for you to help you along your journey. My whole goal is to help you build your business dream. And I would love to offer you even more because some of you are asking for it. So if you could just look down in the show notes right now, there's two ways you can give me your answers. Number one, I have a Google form with 5 quick questions. It can be anonymous. You just answer them and vote on what would be interesting to you. Or number two, I have a voice memo system. You can just click it and you could just leave a voice memo with your phone right now and just record it and tell me what kind of topics, what things would be interesting to you behind the scenes, market news, what would be things that would be extra that would be really valuable to you. So thank you all so much. Okay, on to the episode. Well, hello, I'm Kimberly Rock, and for the last 20 years, I've been running my own businesses that have not only been profitable, but personally fulfilling to me. And so now I'm on a mission to help other women just like you do the exact same thing. Now we're going to have some fun, so let's get started. Well, hello, this is Kimberly. It's episode 48, and I'm so thankful that you are here today. You are not going to regret it. This is an episode chock full of awesome tips in regards to social media. So I know that you will walk away with some new insights and new ways that you can approach building your brand and your business and being seen for free through social media like Instagram and Facebook. I have on the show Sydney Chakalos with Marathon Marketing and Branding. She is amazing. She knows her stuff. Listen all the way through because I'm telling you, up until the end, we are having great conversations and she is just providing so much insights on how you can approach this and build your social media presence. So don't miss even a minute. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Each week, I provide valuable tips to help you build a business you love. And yes, many of you I know are in the early stages and you're wondering, can this really happen for me? Can I do this? I'm telling you it can, and I can't wait to help you get there. So make sure you hit subscribe because you don't want to miss out on any future episodes. I've got another episode coming out next week and the next week and the next week. So make sure you hit subscribe right now if you're an Apple Podcast or whatever player you're using. If you've been listening a while, thank you so much. Thank you for the awesome reviews. If you've been listening and you haven't left a review, would you be so kind to do it right now? It helps me so much. It helps Apple and all the podcast players spread this podcast to other people like us who are just building businesses we love. All you have to do, scroll down right now, hit the 5-star rating. That would be amazing. And if you even have a few seconds to write a written review, that helps even more. I just want to let you know that everything we talk about in this episode, so Sydney and I are talking about social media, there's all kind of tips. I've got everything below in the show notes. So it summarizes everything. If you're on a walk or driving and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so much value from this and she's providing so many tips, but I don't have a pen and paper. How do I write this down? Good news. It's all in the show notes below. Thank you all so much. Okay, let's get on to the episode. Well, hello, Sydney. I'm so glad that you are here today to share your wisdom about social media to all of us who need help. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. It's really fantastic to be on the show, and I'm really excited to share all about all things social media.
Well, good. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit, Sydney, about yourself and about your business so everyone understands who you are, and then we'll get into the meat of this.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Chakalos. I am the founder of Marathon Marketing and Branding. I have been in business since July of 2019. So I just hit that 1 year mark a couple months ago,
Woohoo!
but it was so exciting. But my business has actually really been something in motion for quite some time. So after when I first started my career in consulting, I was largely working in communications and marketing. And my husband's family, he was my boyfriend at the time, they have two local restaurants and they were struggling with their social media. They felt like they weren't getting the reach that they wanted or the results that they needed, and it was getting really expensive with the current agency they were working with. So they approached me about doing a trial period and seeing what I could do for them. And so I took on that project, being the consultant that I was.
Yeah.
And that was always, it's always great to have that side hustle money as well. So I really dove headfirst into learning all things social media for business. And what ended up happening is their presence started to really grow. They started to get a really engaged audience.
Mm.
And I had been doing it for about 6 years before I started my business, and I had started to gain other clients in the process. My dad had a pest control company that I took over their social media until he sold the business. And then I had a couple of other connections who had me helping with their social media. And so then it got to this crossroads point, right, where I was in my 9 to 5 and still doing marketing and communications. And I had at this point changed jobs. So I had transitioned from consulting into higher education, still doing that marketing work. And I got to that crossroads where I said, okay, because I was doing my business, getting up really early at the crack of dawn, getting work done, going to my 9 to 5, coming back home, working until late, and getting up and doing it all over again. So I filed for my LLC
That's
last
awesome.
July. Yeah, and it was a big milestone because people have been
Yes.
telling me for years I needed to take the plunge, and
Yes.
I filed for my LLC. And then not long after, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I mean, my grandparents, my parents, all of them have their own businesses, and so I just took that leap. And then a couple weeks later, unfortunately, my grandfather, who I was really close with, passed away. And really, he was the ultimate entrepreneur. He just really didn't have any fear. So I don't know if you know anything about the Enneagram, but I'm a 6.
I do. I
And
do.
so fear is a big driver in sixes. And
Mm.
I think when my family lost him, something hit me because he didn't let fear stop him from pursuing any project that he was passionate about or wanted to do. And so when we lost him, that was my wake up call that was like, I need to do this, right? Like I really feel this calling to help people and to help these businesses grow on social media. And I've been able to get results for my existing clients. And so it was really time to expand that impact. So I took that leap, and I put a plan in motion so that I could leave my 9 to 5. And everyone's path is going to look different. I think this is important for people to hear, that if you're not leaving your 9 to 5 within a month of starting your business or 6 months, right? There's no set time frame that it should take you to leave your 9 to 5. But
Right.
I put a plan in motion to say, okay, when I hit January 30th of 2020, that's my goal for putting in my notice at my 9 to 5. So I want to be at a point where I feel comfortable enough with my current client base that I can step away from that 9 to 5 income and that safety blanket and really go all in. So that was what I worked towards. And I invested in a coach who helped me also get there and encourage me. And then
Hmm.
about mid-February was when I went all in. And then, of course, a month later, COVID hit. And so my business initially, I was focusing on really helping local brick and mortar businesses. And then with COVID and a
Hmm.
lot of brick and mortars having to close their doors, right? I'm not going to go knock on people's doors. Hey, are you looking for a social media manager?
Right.
So I really had to shift quickly. And so I moved into the online space. I used my knowledge about social media and started uh, started really finding my niche and doing market research about who I was best suited to serve. And I really landed in the space. I started a Facebook group and really landed in the space of female solopreneurs who are in their first year of business. And I started learning more about them and more about the things that they struggled with social media. One of the things that really came up was content creation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created my first online course. And then from that online course experience, and this was a beta test, so the people in my course got a lot of one-on-one time with me. Through that, I was motivated to start my one-on-one coaching. And so I started working with female solopreneurs in that one-on-one capacity and really was able to find my sweet spot. So really in the span of a year, my business has evolved a lot.
Right.
It's been a really incredible journey, and I just want people to know that, this is something that's completely possible, right? I was really uncertain if I was going to be able to replace that 9 to 5 income when I was putting in that notice. I remember calling my husband twice that day being like, should I really do it? Am I
Right.
really going
Right.
to
It's
do
so
this?
scary. It's so scary. No, yes.
And if you put your mind to it, it's absolutely possible.
I love your whole story. And I think this is so refreshing for my listeners because I know a lot of you out there are just starting your business. And Sydney is an example of how you can transition out of that 9 to 5, like she said, and how you can actually make this happen if you have a plan. And I love that you shared that you had a coach because obviously that's what I do too, is help encourage and motivate and make people see that this is possible for you and it can happen if you take strategic, smart, small steps because it's the baby steps that get you there. And what I love too is that you had a plan, you went with it, you took action, and I always like to say I take imperfect action. It sounds like you were doing everything you could. You knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but you were going for it. And then of course COVID hits. And so now here you are again going, okay, so now my idea of brick and mortar at this time may need to be sort of put on hold. What can I be doing to keep generating business? And I love that you took on the new focus. And I'm sure you feel so comfortable in the space. There's so many women starting businesses.
Yes, there's so many women starting businesses. And I think even with COVID, that number has really increased.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In reality, the entrepreneurs were the ones who actually felt the most secure through all of this because we had control of our income.
Yes.
Whereas a
Yes.
lot of people were at the mercy of their company and what was going on. So
Yes. No, I totally agree with you. And it's just such a way too, like if people have lost their jobs too, to be able to regroup and say, I do have something special to offer the world. I have experience. Sometimes you just got to take that time. I know you said you researched, and I like my heart sings when you say that because there's so many women that start businesses without researching really. They just kind of go on this whim of like, oh, I'm going to whatever, bake cupcakes and sell cupcakes in my neighborhood or whatever. And they're not really thinking through the whole business model and they're not validating their idea, which is what happened when I started, my business. And I'm like, oh, I'm helping people start their businesses. Well, what I started seeing is some people weren't even really intelligently at that point where they could start their business. They needed to back up a step, make sure it's something that matches their skills and strengths, just like you did,
yes,
something that they're passionate about, something they believe in, but something that's actually a viable solution. And so I am so happy that you touched on that because it's key, because it's real easy to start a business. I can go start a business tomorrow. So can you. But is it really a good opportunity that's going to fit you? And is it really going to make you money? Right? Is it going to be sustainable? And that's what we want. So thank you for sharing all of that because those are all great points. Now tell us about the name of your business, Marathon Marketing and Branding. How'd you get the name?
I absolutely love running.
Okay.
And I actually picked up running my first year of college.
Okay.
It was a little bit of a rough period in my life when I was first transitioning to college. A lot of things happening and going on at home and at school. And so I really found comfort in starting to run. I actually had avoided running my whole life. Like if you talk to me in high school, and someone was like, you want to go for a run? You're crazy. No, thank you. Have fun. So I started to pick that up in college and really found a lot of comfort in it. It really kept me going. It helped a lot with my mind and being healthy. And So I started this journey of training for my first half marathon. And since then, I've now done 5 half marathons. And when I was thinking about the name of my business, this was a struggle for me. I was for months back and forth on what I was going to call it. And it finally came to me. I was actually in yoga class and it was the end of class when we were like meditating, and I don't know what happened, but it just like came to me. I'm like,
Yes.
marathon marketing and branding.
Yes.
That is the name. This is the name I want to use. Marathon really represent like the whole process of training for a marathon or really conditioning yourself to be a runner. It's really similar to learning social media and to using social media to grow your business and just to grow your business in general. It is like a marathon. You're going to hit plateaus. You're going to have really high highs, like the runner's high. You're going to have times where you're having to persevere and really push yourself to keep going. And so it really just resonated with me and it stuck.
Yes. I love that so much. It's funny you say that when you were meditating, your business idea came to you, because my ideas for like my podcast name and other things have come to me at these moments. And since then, I have done research and found out that in those moments, like they say, when you're just waking up in the morning, and I'm sure, and when you're just going to sleep, but those moments when you're at your most calm and you're about to drift off, just like you said, you were meditating, you're in yoga. They said that is when your brain is most creative and it's able to make these interesting connections that it wouldn't normally make in your day-to-day life. And so I think that's fascinating. And the other thing that I think is fascinating is when you're talking about running and how much you love it, I actually get really good ideas. I do the Peloton a lot now that I have one. I bought a used one, by the way. I've told this story before. I did a podcast episode. Y'all have to listen to it. But it was about the Peloton. I was talking about how I didn't want to pay full price for one. I actually found one used. And so I've had one and I love it, but I get so many ideas while I'm
Yep.
exercising. So I think it's cool too, just thinking about
Yes.
that when you're talking about running. And not only is it this, metaphor and everything about the race of in the marathon that you have to keep going through in the training to build your social media and your business and all that, but also the moments of enlightenment that are created when you're exercising and your blood's flowing. So it's just kind of cool. Sometimes when you're at your peak blood flow, your brain is thinking differently. And when you're at those really calm moments, when you're just about to drift off or you're in meditation or praying or
Yes.
you're waking up, whatever it is, your brain is in these interesting moments. So I love that it all came to
Yeah.
you. So
My best content ideas come to me when I'm running.
they do. I know. Isn't that crazy? And I've had to like put a pen and paper down in our little exercise room so that when I think of something, I can quickly write it down, because otherwise I'll get done with my work and I'm like, I had that great. Where did that idea go? And it's like gone, poof, gone. If I don't write it down, it leaves me. So I know, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has these epiphanies at these moments. So, well, anyways, why don't we go ahead and get started into why, first of all, if someone's starting a business, why is it important for them to get their business seen on social media? Why do they need to do this?
So regardless of if you are starting a brick and mortar store or an online store or a service-based business online, social media is really the vehicle to grow your business and get brand awareness really, really quickly.
Okay.
The way social media is evolving today, when social media first started out, it was very much a let me just share about my day, let me post a photo of what I'm doing, here's my status update. And the way, in particular, Facebook is evolving now with groups and other ways to really build community, it's super easy to go out and just start networking. There are really infinite possibilities with social media to start networking. And it's really, you're going to expand that reach and
Okay.
you're going to draw people into you when you start getting really consistent on social media and just start sharing. I think the hardest part for people with social media is like, what do I even start with posting? Where do I even begin? And I remember when I started my social media platforms after I had officially filed my LLC, And I started using Facebook, started using Instagram, started adding value. And at first, it was family and friends that were engaging with me, bless them. And then
Right.
as I started to post more, there were people that started to find me. And all it took was a couple people coming in and going, oh my gosh, this girl's helping me a lot.
Right.
Or that was super helpful. I really loved this training you just did on your live video. And then they go and tell their friends, or they go post about it in a group, and then other people come and they start checking out your business and going, okay, let's see what this girl's about. And so
Right.
social media, there's really this multiplier effect, and your business, it can just get known so much more quickly. And not only that, especially if you're an online business, social media is a great way to build relationships and build trust a lot more quickly, because there are things like video and lives and going into Messenger and having conversations that help you grow your business that much faster versus feeling like you're pulling teeth. And if you're opening a brick and mortar, for example, because I just saw a business that did a really fantastic job of this, a restaurant that's opening in the middle of COVID. And they started posting on social media 2 months ago. They started teasing what their food was going to look like and what the experience of the restaurant was going to be. And they brought people into their journey. And I remember looking on their social media, and obviously they couldn't seat a full house, but they had people waiting to dine when they opened in the middle of a pandemic because they had used social media effectively. And that's really the power of it, and getting the word out. And it's free, right? If you don't want to pay for ads, it's free advertising.
Right. Right. Yeah, those are such great points. It helps you with your branding, helps you to get known, helps you build trust, helps you tease up offers that are coming or events that are coming up. So those are all great. So what kind of, I guess, mindset do we need to be in when we're starting, our social media campaigns, anything we're posting? What do you recommend? Like, how do we get in this right mode for this?
A lot of people struggle with content creation and knowing what to post. And my biggest recommendation first is to give yourself time to think about what you want your brand to look like on social media, to think about who your target customer is, right? So, what does that ideal client or ideal customer look like? And what are the types of things that would get them really excited about your content? And I tell people to do this without getting on social media first and scrolling for hours trying to find inspiration. Because a lot of times what happens is when you start scrolling, you're so overwhelmed by all the things you're consuming that it's hard to focus on what you really want to put out there. So I tell people to give yourself that time and space to be creative and to think about where you want your business to go and what your audience really needs. And honestly, if you don't know what to post, start with just an introduction post. Start with just introducing yourself, or start with just introducing your business and sharing your story and finding some ways to connect with people. And then start thinking about what are some other things that could be really valuable for the people I want to reach. And the biggest thing about mindset, again, right, it's like you're running a marathon. I think we start our business and we're super excited, we're really amped up, and we're like, I'm going to get on social media, I'm going to put a few posts out there, and the people are just going to come flocking in. And it takes time to build your social media presence up. And so it's having that stamina to know that benefit is coming, that benefit of you showing up, that benefit of putting value out for the people that are following you, that's going to come, but you have to stay consistent with it. And you can't get down on yourself when you start to hit those valleys of feeling like, why do I not have more people engaging? Or I
Mm-hmm.
just posted about my first offer, my first product. Why don't I have 100 sales already?
Right.
And my response to people that are struggling with that is to keep pushing through, because if you're showing up, even when people aren't liking or commenting or whatever it may be, people are always watching. People are always watching. Some of my clients that have come to me never engaged in my group, but were silently watching and reached out when it was time for them and they wanted that help.
I love that.
So,
Yep. Yep.
so I really encourage people, just start with showing up, just start with adding value, start with with building connection with your audience and allowing them to get to know you. And I know that this can be a little bit hard, right, to let that guard down. But when you start with consistency and you lead with value, that's going to help your business exponentially when you're first starting.
Yeah. So how do people get started? What do? They sign up for accounts on Instagram or Facebook. Do you think they should just start with one or both, or what's your thoughts?
It depends on what kind of business you have.
Okay.
I think Facebook and Instagram really much, they go hand in hand.
Okay.
But I always tell the people I'm working with, what feels good to you? Like, what is that platform you're already super comfortable with that you could hop on and start using so that you're not going into that first state of like overwhelm, feeling like you have to learn something else on top of the other things that you're learning with starting and growing your business. Pick that one platform that you really want to focus on. Start sharing there.
Okay.
And then as you get really comfortable with that and putting content out, then go start that second platform.
Okay.
Right? Where's that other place your ideal client might be hanging out that you could start? So and I'm saying this as someone who, when I started my business, I started a Facebook page and I got comfortable showing up there. And then a couple months later, I decided I was going to start my Instagram account. I felt like I could add that on without feeling overwhelmed. And I started showing up on Instagram. And then once I had those down, I started my Facebook group. So instead of just trying to start everything, really, I recommend focusing on one place that it's easy for you to show up and start really building relationships and connections, because social media is a lot more than just posting and running away. And then as you feel more confident, as you feel like that overwhelm has died down a little bit from starting your business and you're getting more comfortable with social media, then maybe bring in another platform to focus on. But a lot of people try to start out and they're like, I'm going to get a Facebook account, a Twitter account, an Instagram account, a Pinterest. Right. And then it takes a lot of time.
Right. Yeah.
And then they're so overwhelmed that they're not showing up fully in any of the places because they've spread themselves too thin.
Right. Okay. So I have a question. So for Facebook, obviously the groups are popular and they're amazing and they're beneficial and they're awesome. I have a group and I love it. And I love being in other groups and all that. The Facebook page, like a business page, I've noticed and I've talked to other business owners that the Facebook business page is not getting the traction. It's more the groups or even maybe their personal page. I don't know if someone's starting out. Do you convert your personal page to a business page or do you start a business? Like, what's your thoughts on that with the way that Facebook is evolving?
So the Facebook algorithm for business pages, how it works is you post, and that post is then shown to about, they estimate 5 to 6% of the people who like your page.
What? 5 to 6%?
That's it. A lot of people don't realize that. So they show it to about 5 to 6% starting out. And then if people, I always like to think of this as like, depending on how people engage with it, depends on how much further your post goes. So for example, if someone likes it, then like, that's pretty good. Facebook might show it to a few more. If someone reacts to it, that's a little bit better than a like, and it goes a little bit further in the algorithm. If someone is commenting, that's really going to help you because that shows Facebook, right, that people are engaging with your content and it's starting conversation, which is what they want social media to be social.
Yep, they want you to spend more time on their platforms.
And then if someone is sharing your post, that's really what's going to help your reach, because then it gets shown to that person's network as well. So creating content that gets people to engage and creating shareable content are really critical to helping your Facebook business page out, because otherwise, you're right, not a lot of people are going to see it. And that's why a lot of people feel like they have to rely solely on ads. The other thing I'm going to say is I do not recommend using your personal Facebook page as a business page.
Okay.
This is really important.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because it actually is against Facebook's policies for you to have a personal account that is for business purposes.
Okay.
So if Facebook were to notice this, it could actually be really damaging, or they might make you they might need to
Interesting.
close your
Okay.
account.
So
So
I hope
I
everyone hears
recommend
that.
I recommend people having a business page. And then obviously your personal page, people have probably noticed, and you've noticed, your posts get seen more. So post to that business page and then go there and share that post with your personal, on your personal account. So then
Oh, that's a good
people are,
tip.
yeah. So then people are seeing your business page, and you're also getting your business page content shared. So it's kind of like a win-win with the
I
algorithm.
love that idea, but I have to be honest. I struggle with that because I kind of separate my life. I've got my personal, I've got my business, and I don't want to be that annoying. It's just not my personality to be like, "Hey, my business is over here," and just keep. I mean, I know I need to. I know people need to know because there's people I can help, right? There's people that I know that could use my help that are struggling trying to nail their business idea and all that good stuff. But how do I do that without being annoying or being braggadocious or any of those things by posting something about my business on my personal page? Like, how do you recommend someone like me would approach that? Because it is something that I do not do. I don't cross post because but I think I should. I keep knowing that I should.
I love that you asked this because I was totally in that same mindset when I first got started. I almost felt like I couldn't share my business with any of my personal
Right.
page
Right.
followers. And I thought they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to know, and they don't care, or they're going to get annoyed with me. And I had this mindset shift, and I had to work on this, and I did some journaling that realistically my business is part of my identity now, right?
Yes.
It's part,
Yes.
it's like my baby.
Right. It totally
And
is. Yeah.
I love what I do, and I know that there are people on my personal account that can benefit from what's going on in my business. The other thing is the people that are really important to me, the people that are going to be in your corner and cheering you on and supporting you, they want to know what's going on in your business. They want to know that, they want to see that success. And I have friends that reach out all the time. They're like, I love that you just shared that. Or I love that you just hit that milestone. So when I replaced my 9 to 5 income and I shared about it, and that was a big thing for me to do, I was like, I'm going to share this with my personal account because I want other people in my network to know that it's possible for them. And really approached it from a service mindset. And I remember having multiple friends text me that were like, this is amazing. You're so inspiring. This is something, I even have a friend who's contemplated starting her own business that said, reading that gives me so much more hope and courage that that can be me one day, and I can do that and take that leap. So it's really a mindset shift. And I'm not using my personal account by any means to just talk about my business, right? There's a lot of photos of my dogs and me and my husband going out
Right.
and
Right.
exploring and things like that. But I do think that it is okay to talk about your business with your personal network. And actually, there are probably people in your corner that you don't even know about because you just haven't shared that information with them yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. How do we post in general on any of these platforms in the most authentic way? Because I cannot deal with the people that cold DM me. I would never tell one of my clients to cold DM people. I don't like all the really narcissistic posts that I see. I mean, a lot of people are really humble about things, but I talk about this a lot. I really cannot stand like the private jet photos and just things like that where their business is like, okay, I'm making $10 million now. I'm happy for them. How amazing are they that they have built their business to that? I love it. But I think what's hard for me is when I see the money and just all of this like superficial stuff thrown out, it hurts me because my whole reason for having a business was not only right to have a career that I love and make money, but it's to use my God given gifts, use my strengths and passions, and make a difference in people's lives, whether it be in small or big ways. I used to sell monogram gifts. No one would say that that's life changing. But for me, it was amazing because I helped people when they were gift giving, feel proud of what they were doing. So for me, I loved it, right? And this business, I was seeking something more impactful. And that's why I started it, because I knew I could help people have what I had, which is a sustainable business for many, many years that brought me income, allowed me to create the schedule I wanted, all that good stuff, right? So how does someone like me, and I have to say, most of my listeners are all very humble, authentic people. I don't have the people, just I guess they wouldn't like me anyways. If I was showing off all these, material things that are the result of my business. I mean, that has not been my purpose. I need it to provide money, but I don't need it to so that I can show off material things. So how do we do this authentically and feel like we're posting in service and helping others and letting them know about what we can offer to help their lives without being annoying or braggadocious and all that good stuff? What's your advice?
I love this. I will also second that I do not recommend a cold DM strategy. I get them all the time and it drives
I
me
can't take it. I can't take it. Yeah.
Or you get a friend request and 2 seconds later you're getting invited to go join their Facebook group and you have no idea who they are. I mean, I had this happen to me last week where I got a friend request and then instantly got a request for a group that is for women who are 50 and older. And I am 29 years old. So
you're like,
I don't
wrong
recommend this strategy.
Market. Wrong. You didn't do your research, whatever that research
Exactly.
is.
I was like, okay, Facebook led you horribly wrong because my birthday is even on my Facebook. But I think that it's about finding what is right for you. Okay. And what feels good to you. I'm never going to force somebody to post on their personal account about their business. That's really up to you and how you want to share about it. But for me, when it comes to sharing about my business and sharing about it on my personal account, because sometimes it can feel weird or I don't want to feel salesy.
Right.
It's really about leading from a place of value. So I started with saying, I'm going to share my blog post that I write each week. That's what I'm going to start with sharing with people on my personal page. Or if I create a really cool resource that I'm excited about, I'm going to share about it on my personal page because, again, it's coming from that place of service. So I like when COVID first started, I created this free resource that was 50 ways to keep your audience engaged during COVID-19 because a lot of brick and mortars, their doors were shut in mid-March and a lot of them were closed for 2 weeks to a month. And it was, how do I keep people engaged and knowing about my business? And so I just created 50 ideas that they could use to post about on their social media so that they were staying active and they were talking with their people. And sharing that resource on my personal account, it wasn't coming from a place of being boastful or bragging, but it really was about coming from a place of knowing that I could help somebody with this because I'm the same way with you. Like for me, it's about the impact with my business.
Right.
I started this social media marketing business because it's the impact that social media can have for people when they have a thriving business, when they have a consistent stream of leads and customers on social media. It's not about the money just coming in. It's about what that enables them to do, right? Being able to leave their 9 to 5, being able to provide for their family, being able to not need permission to leave work in the middle of the day to go spend time with their kid at their school.
Right.
Not having to worry about missing a dance recital or something like that. And so if there's any way that I can deliver value to help people, then I'm going to share it on my personal page. And for me, I like to keep my friends updated on how my business is going and bring them into my journey and my story. And the journey and the story is not just about the milestones that I'm hitting along the way, but it's also being authentic and talking about, it's not all sunshine and roses all the time either. Right. And I've had to learn how to deal with disappointment and work through feeling like I failed and getting back up and trying something different and new again. And so I don't share about my business on my personal account every single day, but I like to hop in there and share about the exciting things that are happening in case that's something that someone in their network can also benefit from.
Right, right. I know that's what we have to remember is when we, you know, talk to people on Facebook or meet people in real life. It's not that we're trying to sell to every single person by any means, but they may know someone that our services could help. What we offer could really make a difference for, and then that way you're just planting the seed. So if they, they know you and they like you, they would definitely recommend you if they meet a friend that's like, I'm struggling with social media. Now, if they're like, oh wait, my friend Sydney does that. I just saw her post something. You know what? I'll give you her information. I mean, it's a great way. And that's what we have to remember is that by meeting people and talking to people, it's not that that we're not trying to gain something from them immediately, but it's just planting the seed. And then if they happen to know someone, it could be a genuine referral, which
Yeah,
I think is great.
exactly. And even if they're not working with you right away, right? I
Right.
view business as a long-term game,
Right. I agree.
and I
Mm-hmm.
want to be the person that is showing up in service for people,
Right.
and the person that's showing up and adding value. And I remember there's a local restaurant in town that I didn't even know they were following anything on my social media. But when I had shared the resource for COVID and I came back in after they were able to reopen, they're like, thank you so much. That resource really helped us. And we
Oh,
were using
that's
it and we got
awesome.
so many ideas from it. And like that warmed my heart just to hear
Yes.
that. So,
Yes. Yes, that's awesome. Well, okay, so I have another question. I know you and I had talked about this before too when we were talking about doing this podcast. It's just how do all of us, especially women, when we've got our businesses and we get stuck in that comparison game, just like teenagers do when they're on social media, right? What do we do as business owners to not fall prey? Not fall in that trap of comparison and like my business isn't as good and or I'm not doing as much or they're way successful. I mean, obviously we don't know their backstory. We don't know what it took for them to get to that point. We have to remember that. Well, what do you see as a way to cope and be on social media and then set boundaries for ourselves so that we don't get caught up in that?
yes, I love this because we all fall prey to it.
Right.
The biggest thing first is that social media, you are seeing the pretty perfect picture most of the time. You're not really seeing the reality. So I love that you pointed that out. You don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
took for someone to get there. The other thing is when you find yourself starting to scroll and compare yourself or feel bad or feel like you're not as far along as you should be, put social media down.
Okay.
Put the phone
Mm-hmm.
away,
I like
put the
that.
phone away and step away from it because it's only going to send you into a spiral the more you keep scrolling and the more you keep comparing. And I think that it's even more prevalent when we feel like we're struggling and stuck in our business. Step away and go write about how you're feeling. There is something therapeutic about being able to journal. And I did not believe in journaling until I started this journey of entrepreneurship. And I remember feeling in a place where I was stuck one day, and my coach said, go journal it all out, go write out all of the things that you're feeling. And what I realized, I wrote down the things that I was saying to myself, and when I actually went back and read them, they were kind of mean. I wouldn't say this to someone else, or I know like my husband or the people in my corner like don't think this at all, or wouldn't they would be like upset to read what I would I would think about my progress and how I was doing. And then after I got all of that negative junk out of my brain, I went back and replaced the thought and sought out a reason why that thought was not true or not valid.
Right.
So, like, I was telling myself, I felt like a failure. And then I went back and replaced it with, you're not a failure. You started this business because you're very good at what you're doing. And look, you've actually helped, you've actually helped this restaurant grow exponentially, or you've helped this restaurant get through COVID. And replacing that thought and validating that that thought I'm having in my head is not true. That helped a lot. The other thing is if you are following people on social media that you're not getting value from, and every time you look at their content, it's just filling your head with junk and making you feel bad, unfollow. Get that negative energy out of your bubble
Yes.
because you
Yep.
have to protect your mind. You have to protect your mind. It will really impact how you show up in your business. It'll impact how you show up in your marketing. If you are comparing yourself constantly and feeling like you're failing, or feeling like, why even bother? I'm never going to get to that point. You start to show up with those thoughts in the back of your head. So if you're thinking, why even bother showing up? I'm never going to be at that point that they're at. You're not going to be motivated to post every day. You're not going to be motivated to get on stories. You're not going to feel motivated to start messaging people and building connections and showing up for people. And then you're almost creating a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself, because that thought that you're so afraid of happening or telling yourself is going to happen, you're starting to take actions that actually will fulfill that thought, versus if you replace it with something positive, like, I'm not there yet, but I know I'm going to get there one day. You're going to show up and take those actions and post consistently and market and show up in full force for your business, because you're telling yourself you're going to show up.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be you one day.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. Well, I have a question too, then, for people that are a little farther along, maybe they're growing their social media. Do you recommend batch working on your posts, like doing a whole bunch in one day? Or do you find that a lot of people do better if they just do it with their gut for that week or that day? Like, what do you see as far as like scheduling your posts?
A lot of people think you have to post every day. I actually do not believe that. I think you have to get visible every day, whether that's showing up in groups or showing up on your stories, but you don't have to post every single day.
Okay.
How the algorithm works, your post will typically live for 2 to 3 days. So I recommend posting 4 to 5 times a week. You don't have to constantly be in this content creation mode.
Okay.
I personally recommend batching your content, because there are a lot of things that can come up throughout your week. So regardless of how much you tell yourself you're going to get on and post every single day, life happens, and then it's 9 o'clock at night and you're going, oh crap, I didn't share anything today like I wanted to. And then you're scrambling. When you're batching your content, you can be really intentional with it, and you can be more strategic about what you're putting out there. So I tell people, give yourself an hour on your calendar, or maybe 2 hours, and sit down once a week and look at the roadmap of where you're going in your business next. What's your next milestone that you're working towards? What are your goals? And what is the content you need to put out there to support that goal? Because that's going to allow you to create content that's really, really intentional, versus I'm just thinking about what I need to post that day. So sitting down, planning it out, and then get it all scheduled, because again, so much stuff can come up throughout the week. And when it's already scheduled and taken care of, it's so much
better.
I've had people that started implementing this practice after they went through my course, and she said it was amazing. She's like, I set my date, Sunday nights, I sit down and I create my content for the week. And she messaged me that Wednesday and said, this week has felt a lot less heavy, because I haven't had social media hanging over my head. It's already done.
Yes.
And I can focus on my tasks that I need to get done. So I do recommend batching. Some people are ambitious. They like to batch for a whole month. Some people like to create posts for 1 week at a time. And it's really just about finding that balance for yourself.
Sweet spot. Is there a tool that's your favorite that you recommend?
I really like Later.
Okay. And why do you like that one? I've tried a few, but.
Yes. So I really like Later because I can save captions in Later on the paid version. So I actually have hashtag groups that I use saved in Later. So when I go to put my posts in, I actually have hashtags that are designated for female entrepreneurs, hashtags that are dedicated for social media marketing. And all I have to do is click and drop those sets in. And then I just go back and I remove the ones I don't want for that post. It's already done for me. I don't have to sit there and go, okay, what was that hashtag I used in my last post? Or let me type it all out again. And it gets really tedious. But I love that I can stay really organized with it. And I also love that now that I've been using it more and more, it also provides me times that are really optimal for me to be posting. So when I'm scheduling, I can go in and say, okay, it looks like on Wednesdays when I post at 7 p.m., that seems to be an optimal time.
Isn't it fascinating those times that they pop up with? They're like not what you think that they would be. I've
No,
been
they're
working on
not.
posts and it'd be like 9 a.m. and it's like, no, post it, saying to post at noon or at 3:30 or the next day. And I'm like, wait, what? I was trying to do this today.
Yeah.
So that
And
just means they've calculated an optimal time that you may get the most interaction, views, all that good stuff.
yeah, and the more you're posting, and the more consistent you're doing it, the better that information and
Yes.
data is going to be. So if you're just getting started out,
Yes.
test some different time frames out, then go back and start analyzing what time of days are optimal and things like that. And you can get that kind of data right inside the platforms too. I just like that it's in one place and I go to schedule and I just see my box
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where it's an optimal time.
How far ahead do you do yours? I'm just curious. Are you
I
a
do a
month
week
out?
at a
You
time.
do a week. Okay. I was going to say, are you a month out person?
I do a
That's
week.
two different kinds of people in this world.
I get really, I get really tired. I have one person I met, she does a whole quarter
What?
at a time. She's a wedding
This
photographer and
woman.
she does
Oh
a
my
whole quarter.
goodness.
I told her she's Wonder Woman. I
Yeah,
do.
she is. That's amazing. I think there's actually there's probably like four kinds of people in the world. The people that do it every quarter, the people that do it every month, the people that do it every
Yeah.
week, and then the people like me who just do it right when they think of something. See, I need a system in place because this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes that on the fly content performs really well. So I would say, schedule 4 or 5 posts, and if something really good pops in your head and you're like, I just want to share this, I feel compelled to share it, go in and post it.
I like that. I actually like that idea because then it gives me the regimen. It gives me the schedule. And then I don't feel, because I don't like to feel like I have to go by a certain method. Like I do have
Yeah.
things that come to my head. And sometimes that's when I'm at my best. Like I wrote one for an email that I was sending out to customers the other day. And I got so much response from it. And it was something I literally sat down from my heart and typed it. And I was like, I made sure there wasn't any mistakes. There still might have been, but I made sure. And I was like, this just feels good for right now. And I'm sending it. And people were replying back to my email. I'm like, this is insane. You don't get a ton of reply. I wasn't asking for a reply. There was no question. There was no anything. People were just responding back. So I think sometimes you're right, that on a whim, can be from the heart and good, and even scheduled out can be as well, but at least it gives for people like me, that gives me a hybrid model, to still have
Yeah.
the flexibility but yet still have the structure of doing it at a schedule. So what would you say in summary for people that are just starting? What's like the big lesson, the big thing that you want them to know about social media if they're just getting going, or even if they've been doing this a while? What do you say?
The big thing I really want to say is first start with focusing on showing up and really focus on that mindset that you are showing up and it's a long-term game. Social media is a long-term game. The more consistent, the more you put into it, the longer you're putting consistency into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And if you're treating it like this short-term game and like everything needs to have 100 likes on every post, then you're going to get discouraged really, really quickly. So I say start with consistency, focus on showing up, and have that mindset that it is possible to work for your business. And it's a fantastic tool to grow your business. And you just have to give it time to work its magic. But if you're not being consistent, all of that momentum you gain from showing up goes away and you're starting from scratch all over again every time you stop with that consistency.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so how can people find you, follow you, get involved in your course or your strategy sessions? Tell us about what you offer, because I know people listening today are going to say, okay, I need to know what Sydney's doing so I can become a part of her circle.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to connect with me. So
Okay.
if you go to marathonmarketingbranding.com, there are you can learn all about how you can work with me there. I also have a free Facebook community. It is called Social Media Literacy for Small Business Owners. And I do free trainings there every week. I actually have a whole library of trainings. So if you're wanting to dive in and learn more about growing your business on social media, that's a great place to start. I also absolutely love Instagram. So my handle is at Marathon Marketing Branding, and you can connect with me there as well. Right now, I am offering 3 one-on-one spots for one-on-one social media coaching, and the enrollment for the content creation bootcamp is always open for people to join.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you have the one-on-one strategy sessions, like if you just need some tweaking and helping with direction so that you can go. Exactly. So it's either long-term coaching with you to help you really guide you over months, or the one-off strategy sessions, your boot camp, which you can log in at any time and get schooled on that, right? So we know how to create content. And then you also have group sessions. There's not one open right now. Is that right?
Yes. So I have a group coaching program called the Social Sales Accelerator. It just launched a couple weeks ago, and the doors will be open for that program again. I'll be opening the doors in December, and the program will start in January. So it's a great way to start the new year fresh.
Yes, I love that.
And then the one-on-one strategy sessions are really just there if you're feeling stuck and you just need to get some ideas or pick my brain. That strategy session is your hour for us to work together. And if you're feeling like I'm already in a coaching program or I'm in course overwhelm and you just need someone to talk to, that's what those are there for.
Awesome. You are rocking it. I'm so excited. You've got so much experience with all this with different businesses. I think it's so cool now. You're helping solopreneurs and everyone get going. And I know my audience is going to appreciate these tips so much because I get it all the time. People are struggling with how to really build and grow their social media presence. And as much as I want to help people, I'm not an expert on that because I built my businesses by being found on Google and word of mouth and local shows and all of that. I did not build my businesses for so long on social media. So it is relatively new to me. I mean, I had social media presence, but I wasn't really doing it right, but I didn't have to because my business was doing amazing. So, but these days I feel like it's such an integral part of our businesses. It's a way to get seen. And now with COVID and everything going on, everything has shifted even more to being seen online, because if you had plans to be a local, coach or service provider, right, you've had to shift. And so you've got to be seen. And so I love that you are helping women do this. And I love that you are helping businesses be able to create more impact with what they're offering the world. And so I thank you so much, Sydney, for being on. You are a wealth of information.
Well, thank you. It's been so much fun chatting with you. And I really appreciate it.
I'm so excited. And everyone, all her links are below. You can click and go follow her and see what she's got going on because she is active all the time. And I love that you're doing those weekly trainings and all that. It's so exciting. So, well, thank you so much, Sydney. Best of luck to you. And I'm sure we will be talking again soon.
Thank you.
Bye now. Okay. Was I not right? This episode was amazing. Sydney knows her stuff. I love it. All the links are below to her business and everything that she offers. And so I just wanted to make sure you didn't miss out on that. And are you in my private Facebook group? I sure hope you are. It's for women getting their businesses started, right? And specifically, purpose-driven women, right? Because you have got impact you are meant to be making. Get in my group. We're helping each other along our journeys. And yes, that's it for today. So everything's down in the show notes. Okay, have a good one. Until next time, bye now.
Now, this episode may be over, but our relationship does not have to end here. Head on over to KimberlyBrock.com. And yes, you can get more valuable information for your journey. And you know what? You don't need to go through this alone. I would love to help you. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.